Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, and I want to start by thanking the leaders of the community who have joined me here for this important announcement. Todd Knizik, the Executive Director of the Arts Service Initiative of Western New York. Donnie Kutzbach, a talent promoter with Funtime Presents and Town Ballroom. David Taylor, a promoter with Empire State Concerts. And Deborah Crisanti, who is a Cheektowaga resident who tried to buy tickets for a sold-out show and is going to share her story with us. We're here to talk about a problem that too many New Yorkers confront on a regular basis, how hard it is to find affordable concert and sports tickets. And it's something that we determined several years ago to dig into, and we're releasing today a report, Obstructed View, showing the results of the investigation, and it turned out to be a much more complex problem than we had initially thought, but we think this report is going to open up the shadowy area of overcharging and enable us to take action both through voluntary conduct of companies and hopefully through legislative steps. We know that thousands of Bruce Springsteen fans in the Buffalo region ran into this problem when the Bosses show next month at First Niagara Center sold out in just hours. Almost immediately, many of those tickets were posted on resale sites like StubHub or Tickets Now at huge markups. New Yorkers have been complaining about this since I became Attorney General. And we launched the investigation looking at, really starting off looking at the brokers. And if you can see here, this is the chain of what goes on, looking at the, oops.
I'd be that guy.
Don't worry. There we go. Excellent. Thank you. Looking at the brokers, and then we realized that there were other players taking other actions that result in ticket prices being high or unavailable completely. So our report, Obstructed View, documents the findings of this wide-ranging investigation and uncovers really what's a shadowy network, or has been up until now, a shadowy network of middlemen, brokers, ticket vendors, and more, who really use any means they can, some legal, some illegal, to jack up the prices of tickets and squeeze money out of fans. We have a strong commitment to cleaning up the ticket industry, to working with the businesses involved, but also to working with our colleagues in government to see that it happens. It can be done. We uncovered three major drivers of this phenomenon. First, and this was a surprise to me, for most popular shows, more than half of the tickets are not even made available to the general public for sale. The tickets are held back, and our study showed that on average, 54% of tickets are set aside for insiders. We looked at a whole host of shows, 2 Justin Bieber shows at Madison Square Garden. Only 15% of all the tickets were released during the initial public sale. And we asked the question, if these tickets aren't going on sale to the public, where are they going? Well, 1 in every 5 tickets are held for industry insiders like agents, promoters, record labels, sponsors, and friends of the venue. And more of a third of the tickets are held for what are called pre-sales. These are tickets that are reserved for people who get special access with preferred credit cards or through fan clubs. And so that's at the top of the chain. Artists, promoters, venue operators will hold back large numbers of tickets that never make it to the regular market. The second challenge to fans who simply want to buy a ticket is the network of brokers and the illegal bots they use to grab thousands of tickets before ordinary people can even log into the ticket site. The brokers are right down here, and they've gotten probably the most attention, but as I've discussed, they are only a part of the problem. The brokers now, with new technology, have the ability to swoop in the moment the tickets are released to the public. Some use rooms full of employees, logging onto multiple computers, using multiple credit cards to buy up tickets, but the more sophisticated ones are now using illegal software known as ticket bots to purchase tickets at high speed. These are software programs that enable them essentially to evade any any technology that's designed to ensure that it's an individual purchasing the ticket and buy hundreds and hundreds of tickets as quickly as possible. It took a single bot just 1 minute to buy more than 1,000 tickets to a U2 concert last summer at Madison Square Garden, and there's just no way ordinary fans can compete with that. Then the brokers take these tickets to resale sites, which we call ticket reseller platforms, like StubHub or Tickets Now, to sell at significantly marked up prices. We documented that a bot once purchased a ticket to a One Direction show for $101 and resold it at 70 times the price. If you look on StubHub right now, you'll see Super Bowl tickets starting at $3,700 and going all the way up to about $50,000 per ticket. And even when there are artists, and there are quite a few artists who are good-hearted and want to make efforts to keep the tickets available to their fans, brokers have been able to thwart their efforts. Pearl Jam has made a point of trying to keep ticket prices low, and a bot purchased a ticket for a Pearl Jam show in Brooklyn and resold it for 13 times face value, thwarting the good intentions of that fine band. Even Pope Francis, when he came to New York, whose events were all to be free, could not escape seeing tickets to his events being resold for profit. Scalping tickets for the Pope is about as low as you can get, and we have to take action. Finally, even if you get lucky enough to beat the bots and you get a ticket, that's when the fees hit you. Our investigation found that the venues and ticket vendors like Ticketmaster and Tickets.com can add on significant fees that as much as double the price of the ticket. On average, we found that fees add a surcharge of 21% to the face value of tickets, and the law has been amended in 2010, the existing New York State law, to require only reasonable fees for special services. These fees are simply excessive, and in many cases it's not clear that there were any special services provided. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, for people who want to see a concert or a major sporting event, the story is clear. Less than half the tickets are made available to the public. Most of those are made available are sucked up by brokers, many of them increasingly using bots. Consumers are left to pay exorbitant fees or astronomically high prices on the resale market, and that's what we call a rigged system. This is a playing field that's not level. Ordinary fans are disadvantaged. Artists who want to get their fans access to the concerts have been frustrated in their efforts to do so. So we're now going to be undertaking, both through investigations and through working with our colleagues in state government, an effort to level the playing field for New York sports fans and concert goers. Today, we are announcing settlements with 2 ticket brokers that were illegally operating without a ticket reseller license, MSS LLC and Extra Base Tickets LLC sold thousands of tickets to events throughout New York, and our settlements require that these companies get licensed and pay penalties totaling $145,000. Interestingly enough, the overwhelming majority of the brokers that we've examined did not even comply with the licensing requirements in New York State. So that made them even harder to track. So that's something that we are dealing with, and we have proposals for requiring the venue operators to police that better. Separately, we are investigating multiple brokers who use illegal bots to buy thousands of tickets at once, denying customers a fair shot at getting into a concert or sports event and driving prices through the roof. In addition to the investigations that are underway, as we discuss in detail in the report that we're releasing today, we also need some real reforms to our current legal system. Some of the reforms are really relatively straightforward, like requiring more transparency about how many tickets are being reserved for insiders or for special pre-sales. A transparent marketplace is a fairer marketplace, and brokers, in addition to buying from ticket vendors, are also jumping up and getting into the pre-sales in many situations. So they also jump up to the tickets that aren't even available ever to the public. So we need transparency about pre-sales and tickets that are withheld. Most essentially, reforms are needed to keep pace with technologies in this rapidly evolving industry. We should end New York's outdated ban on non-transferable paperless tickets. We're the only state where you can't get a non-transferable paperless ticket, which helps keep the price down. and they limit markups in the resale market. There's something that we should legalize. Ticket vendors, we propose, should also be given responsibility to track high-volume ticket buyers and resellers and see if they're using illegal bot technology to get an unfair advantage. The ticket vendors are in the best position to enforce ticket limits. Often an artist or a venue will say, I want 4 tickets per person, 8 tickets per person. They have the ability to track what appear to be purchasers that are buying 100 or 200, 600 tickets. We want to impose a regulatory scheme that enables them to do that and requires them to do that. The resale market sites have to police themselves better, and in cases where they're not doing it, the state legislature should take action. These companies don't actually require brokers to provide and post their state license information before they can sell on the platform. And that's something we should absolutely require. That should be posted, and in some cases, they don't even have, the reseller platforms don't even have the space for you to provide a license, so the technology may have to be adjusted. And finally, we've determined that some ticket issuers, including sports leagues, have instituted price floors for their tickets. This is a very different type of problem. Price floors prevent tickets from being sold at a price below some arbitrary level, usually face value. This defeats the whole purpose of an open market by keeping prices artificially high. And so we're looking into these practices as well. At the other end of the spectrum, the lack of a price cap, which we used to have in New York but which was repealed, is having a significant effect on prices in the state. Many thought removing the price cap in 2007 would help open the market and drive down prices. Instead, as our report shows, brokers have taken advantage of the opaque and skewed market to use whatever means they can, legal or illegal, to buy and resell high-value tickets at huge markups. Given that the industry is not effectively curbing broker abuses, we're proposing voluntary steps, but if they don't take the voluntary steps, the legislature really needs to examine all of these issues, legalizing paperless non-transferable tickets, and reinstating price caps, and enacting other reforms that we've listed in our report. Ladies and gentlemen, New Yorkers deserve a chance to see their favorite musicians perform at a reasonable price, to see their favorite teams play at a reasonable price. The ticket industry is now on notice that our investigations are continuing and will continue until all New Yorkers can get a fair deal on tickets. So thank you very much for coming today, and I look forward to following up on what's in the report with both investigations and recommendations to the legislature. And now I want to introduce the Executive Director of the Arts Service Initiative of Western New York, Todd Knizik, who is going to talk about the impact the problems in the ticket industry have on the arts.
Hi, we want to thank the Attorney General for taking up this issue, and while this is a consumer issue, it's absolutely also a workforce and an economic development issue for the cultural economy. This is an emerging threat to our local cultural economy and cultural economies throughout the state and the nation. We work at Art Services Initiative with several hundred, both for-profit and not-for-profit cultural organizations in the 5 counties of Western New York, as well as the hundreds of individual artists, musicians, and bands that are employed in that economy. And what we're seeing is just simple math. People have only so many discretionary dollars to spend on entertainment. And the more they spend on one thing, the less they have available to spend on something else. And, the proliferation of national concerts, big concerts here, is a great thing for Buffalo. It's an indicator of our reemerging community. But when even more money gets tied up into one specific event, think about that. If you're having to spend $1,000, $2,000 on one show, you're not going out very much around that show. And so when we have a big concert coming, that does activate workers, at the arena, at surrounding restaurants and parking lots and such. But then tacking on all of this additional money doesn't add a penny to the local economy. All that money is getting sucked out of the community. And we're also seeing that effect. Years ago, there was a study done as to why theater attendance was declining. And there was actually a correlation between a decline in theater attendance and an increase in the number of Sabres minigame packages that have to be purchased. So in other words, when someone could buy a ticket to one game, they were then going out and buying a ticket to a play or to a local concert. And in this community, people are both. You're a sports fan, you're an arts fan, you're a music fan, you're all of that. But as people were having to tie up more of their money into one thing, it left less of their money for anything else. And so we're paying very close attention to this because, as we're seeing more and more money going into one thing, and one thing that, quite frankly, takes most of the money out of the community. It doesn't keep the money here in Western New York. We're a little bit worried about the effect that that's going to have on our other culturals, and also, in a strange way, the devaluation. If I've paid all of that money to see a major national, international artist, what's a local artist worth? And in a lot of cases, people don't want to pay a $5 cover to see a local band after they've spent $2,000 to see a national one. And that's just off. And so, again, we thank the Attorney General for taking up this issue, and we're eager to help in whatever way we can. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And now I want to introduce Donnie Kutzbach, a talent promoter with Fun Time Presents and Town Ballroom.
Thank you. Thank you. So I haven't done any shows as big as the Pope, let's say, but our company, we've done shows at the arena, and we own a venue in downtown Buffalo called Town Ballroom, and we do probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 250 shows and events a year. And the thing is, this is a problem that isn't just happening at the top level. I can go online right now and look at our ticket platform, which is a company called Ticketfly, and they show all the details of what sales are happening, what's sold that day, what's currently sitting there. And on any given day, any given moment, I can look and there'll be 20 tickets sitting in a cart, and those are bots. And that happens all the time. And I've had this happen on shows where we're only selling 300 tickets. So it's something that goes from the top when there's 20,000 tickets for sale down to the very least amount. And it's a real problem. And I say this not just as somebody who puts on shows. I'm an avid Bruce Springsteen fan. I'm going to go see him 8 times on this tour. And I had the same problem. I couldn't, I was trying to get it in another city, and I got shut out. So right there on sale that day, using 2 computers, not using bots, on my own, I couldn't get tickets. So it's really frustrating, and unfortunately, we're not in control of it, and that's a problem, is when the artist isn't in control, when the producer isn't in control, it's no good for the consumer, it's no good for any of us. So I'd like to thank the Attorney General for stepping in and getting involved in this. It's an issue that needs to be taken serious concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I want to introduce Dave Taylor, who is a promoter with Empire State Concerts. Dave. And very handy with signs.
Yes.
Thank you.
I knew I'd be that guy. I book Rapids Theater in Niagara Falls. I do most of the shows at the Riviera Theater, and I have other venues as well. And right now, we've got a show with a band called Disturbed at Rapids Theater. Sold out. I think it sold out probably in about 17, 18 minutes. And tickets were $39.50. If you go to TicketStub right now, there's almost 130 tickets just on their site. The cheapest ticket is $109. The most expensive is 10 times that price of the original ticket price. It's at $397. This is all general admission. So the person paying $400 is going to be standing right next to the guy who paid $109, next to the guy who paid $39. So there needs to be some legislation to put a cap on what they can resell for. I have no problem with fair trade. If somebody wants to sleep outside overnight and wait for tickets, buy 10 tickets and sell 8 of them on Craigslist and make a profit because they slept out all night, I don't have a problem with that. But the problem is that the bots do make it completely unfair to the consumer and snatch up as many tickets as possible. And then we also see at our shows, at the end of the night, we count how many people come in, and oftentimes there'll be maybe 70 tickets not showing up, and we're thinking, how does 70 people not come to a show? Well, what it is that inventory is sitting in TicketStub. So there's 70 people who couldn't come to a show because they didn't want to pay $400 for a ticket. So we support the Attorney General, there he is, and Donnie, with the legislation to to put an end to these bots. And they use them for everything. If you could go online and look, they use it from everything from obviously sporting events. But I was reading in Detroit at a restaurant where you couldn't get a reservation. It's because someone decided to write a code, and at 5 in the morning when all those reservations opened up for that restaurant, they would just he would just take up all the reservations. So they do it for restaurants, they do it for sporting events and concerts, and we have no control over it. And importantly, the artist, myself, the venues, we never see any of that overage. That money that goes into those secondary ticketing companies, that's all theirs. It doesn't filter down. And the artist and myself and management and the venues, we all try to, when we book a show, we make sure that a ticket price is set that's affordable to that community. And when the bots come in and block everybody out and increase the price, it not only devalues what we're trying to do and what the artist is trying to do, it really just rips off the consumer. So the sooner this is done, the better.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. And I should note that in the report we do document specific cases of bots and the profits that they make, and these are extraordinarily profitable ventures. But finally, we want to hear from Deborah Crisanti, who is a Cheektowaga consumer who tried to buy tickets to a sold-out show, and I'll let her tell you her story. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm nervous, so excuse me. I've been to many concerts in my life, but recently I've never had an experience like I did trying to get the Paul McCartney tickets. I was put in cyberspace, and there was no security code that you could put in, and then I find out it was sold out in like 2 minutes, and I stayed on my computer for an hour trying, and nothing happened. And once I heard that they were gone so quickly, I really got upset, and I started firing off letters and complaints. I attribute the problem to the ticket bots, and I feel that they do create an uneven playing field. The amount of money I spent on the highest level seats, I just found out from these gentlemen, I could have got VIP passes backstage for the amount of money I spent. And now I'm really mad. People like me are often left with the option of paying a ridiculous amount of money for tickets, which I did, and I found out after I purchased the tickets that it wasn't even a local person from, I'm going to say it, StubHub. My money went somewhere in Philadelphia, which also made me angry. So that our option is either paying a ridiculous amount of money for tickets or not getting to see our favorite performers live. I think it's unfair, and I thank Attorney General Schneiderman for working to correct the problem, and I hope it happens quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. And so in our report, we do touch on other issues. Another phenomenon that we've been looking at is what's called speculative tickets, where tickets are put up for sale that the broker doesn't even own, sometimes before the tickets are available. And we have confronted some folks who are trying to get away with that. Also, it is this is a problem that we can fix, but it does take, as I've indicated, action at a whole variety of levels. We have to ensure that there's responsibility for tracking the tickets, what's available, what's not available, why, and also for policing the multiple purchasers that serve the brokers, whether with bots or without bots. That's something that can be done. Price cap can be reinstated. We could move to a system with paperless transferable tickets. So I look forward to both continuing our investigation, and we will be announcing more results of other investigations into specific brokers in the weeks ahead. But we also are going to take this to Albany and try and see if we can get the legislature, and I'm pretty confident we can, to revisit the 2010 and 2007 modifications of the law that have opened the door to some of these problems.